I am
Yeah.
Caleb Elliott, and this is Josh Davis. Josh, how are you
Best,
tonight?
best fast of my life.
I mean, we're fasting just like the Muslims are.
No, no, no. I'm not eating nearly as much food as the Muslims do at night.
You know what? You're not wrong.
I'm not nearly eating enough.
No.
Oh man. But forgot, when's the official start date?
February 18th, my guy.
All right, so in 6 days. We're a head start. We're more loyal than they are. We're more committed.
We're more devoted. You see?
We actually care
You're
deeply
going to see my Zabiba pretty soon. For me bashing my head into the ground.
about. Got caught in the chili. Oh man. We got best. I'm not sure what I'm more excited about. The streams itself or the special projects.
I know what I'm more excited about, but you know.
Well, I know what you're more excited about for sure. We cooked up a few special projects. One I'm going to show Caleb later after the stream because I accidentally made this project and I was like, oh, I like this a lot.
Accidentally make a project. All right, sure.
I'll show you what I mean later.
All right.
So we're getting a few days ahead. We're more loyal than they are. That and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we don't stream when Ramadan starts. Sorry, Ramitdown. Sorry, Bombadon. Sorry, Ramadan. Ooh. So, welcome to Ramadan month. Technically, it also goes into March, but it doesn't really line up with our calendar.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, we haven't officially hit Ramadan yet.
That's what I'm saying.
But-
In 6 days, we're more committed.
Yeah. Exactly. No, we're gonna start a little early because we just got that much coming down the pipeline. We couldn't cram everything in that we wanted to, unlike what the Muslims do at night. So.
Unlike Muhammad did with Al Zut.
Yeah, no, we certainly can't cram that much in. But we had to start a little early because we just got a lot to talk about. So, started a few days early here. And I am making tacos, as I put there. I made tacos. I made tacos this morning because I was not sure what my time frame was going to look like tonight. I ended up having more free time than I thought I would, so I could have made them, but I made them in the morning anyways, and I'm just going to heat them up and eat them.
I mean, chili.
Did you make your chili?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Homemade. Dude, I love making chili. That was a recipe my roommates and I would make. That was a little bit spicier. It was so good.
Oh, no, I can't do spicy, man.
It's not that bad. I think you could handle it.
I appreciate your confidence.
Trust me, I know.
believe it's
I'm pretty sure you can
spicy.
handle it. It's not nearly as spicy as my Cajun chicken and rice my girlfriend loves and I make for her every once in a while. Not spicy. That I'm like
Yeah, no.
pouring a crap ton of.
My wife is like a spicy fanatic. I, on the other hand, get a little turned away by like salt. So
Never mind, you can't handle
I
it.
can't do spicy. I can't
Sour.
do spicy. I can do sour. I can do sour with the best of them, but I cannot do spicy.
We're not talking about sour, you pansy. We're talking about spice.
Hey, don't call me a pansy for sour, man. I eat warheads for breakfast. Those are
Those are gross.
that's baby food to me.
Those are gross.
I love me some sour fruit. Straight lemon.
No, man.
give me-
Warheads are no bueno. No bueno.
Oh, please, my wife can give you a dye-free warhead. Don't worry. I'm sure it exists, and I'm
That's
sure
still
she
no
knows it
bueno.
exists.
They just don't. It's not the sour for me. It just doesn't taste good.
It's alright.
Like, the Muslims have warheads for Ramadan.
Well, they already do, which is what we're going to talk a little bit about.
Oh, that's fair. Oh, wow, wow, that took a turn real quick. A real quick turn. Like I said, welcome to Ramadan. I mean Ramadan. I mean Bombadon. I mean Ramadan. I mean it's something.
That's all, folks.
It's effectively what it feels like. My dogs are barking again. Oh well.
All right.
Oh, I'm wearing the wrong sweatshirt. I'll be right back. Okay, Caleb eats a taco.
That's a good taco.
Oh, I think we need more merch ideas. And by need, I mean I want more merch ideas. And by merch ideas, I really just want more Call of Defend merch to wear because I really like the sweatshirt. It's comfy. I want more like it. Maybe that'll be my fast. My nightly fast will be making merch and buying a ton of it, but then refrain during the daytime. That counts, right?
Sure, man.
Oh. All right, so Caleb, run us down what Ramadan, quote unquote, is and what it isn't.
Okay. So, many people think of Ramadan as the Islamic month of fasting, right? Where they do not eat or eat sufficient to survive, but do not eat in excess. Very small meals, etc., snacks, maybe, for the entire month. Because Islam has a wonderful PR department. That is not what Ramadan is. Ramadan is far and away one of the most disgusting celebrations. So, talked recently about the 7 deadly sins when we talked about demons.
Yeah.
And how there's some linkage there. To say that this holiday is like a temple to gluttony is to call the Pacific Ocean a small puddle. So I brought up here, well, hang on, before we get into that. Ramadan, so basically what happens in Ramadan is instead of being awake during the day and just eating normally, Muslims will sleep during the day, stay awake all night, and just gorge themselves on as much food as they can possibly eat. Like, however much food they can eat that night is what they will eat. They do several big meals throughout the night with snacking in between. They literally basically do not stop eating. And they do that for a month. So I wanted to, for part of this, actually take a look at like the medical side of Ramadan. And see what happens there. The other part is why we call it, Bombathon. or Bombadon, right? The Ramadan Bombathon, or some is what some people call it. I just prefer Bombadon. Is because the terrorist attacks that take place during Ramadan are usually very large in scale and a lot more frequent. So you get a ton more terrorist attacks throughout the Muslim month of Ramadan. Jihadis are out in full force, and I used to think it was just because they're hangry, but it can't be that because they're getting fat.
Yeah, I not related to Bombadon itself, but I remember doing one of my student teaching field placements where I had a few students who were Muslim participating in Ramadan. And so like one of my girls were like, "Hey, I'm just so hungry and tired." I'm like, "What do you what do you mean?" you like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess I get why you're hungry because you were up all night and all day, which is just not healthy at all in the slightest. But also like you like gorged yourself in food that previous night. Because that's when you can eat. Because that's the thing, they are allowed to eat between when the sun goes down and the sun comes back up.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got that window to gorge themselves, in Caleb's words, with all this food, of which like I think for like our country we don't really see the problem with that necessarily because we just have this abundance of food and people eat so much. But like when we think about what gluttony is, and also just the sheer health issues it brings about with just how much food you crammed down, not just how much food you can like eat, like overeating, but like cramming that much food within a certain set of time for your body to try to digest is also horrendous for you and will destroy your body. Like it has some serious spiritual issues and it has some serious physical issues. Whether they knew that back then or not when they first instituted this, we know it now. And like, so now you have people who are lacking in sleep and plowing through food, destroying their bodies. And as like David Wood in one of his videos on Ramadan points out, you know, like they're those who still go to work or school, their performance dips hard.
Right, yeah, because they're staying up all night just eating.
It's not really fasting. I mean, it's intermittent fasting, but like,
I like the article that I pull up here from the Association American, uh, excuse me, the Association of American Cardiology calls it semi-fasting.
semi-fasting. It's
I
not
like
fasting.
that.
It's like
Yeah,
Jesus
exactly.
literally
Whatever.
fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. These guys are not fasting. It's like almost like a health fast, and then they destroy the health part at night. Which I guess that means they're fasting health. Okay, that actually works. They're just fasting health at that point. But as you were saying, there's the tie to, for some reason, there's a tie to terrorist attacks as well, which is why it's gotten the name of Bombadon or Bombathon. Did you have an article you were planning to pull up that I delayed on, or?
No, I was just pulling up a few other things while you were talking.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
But yeah, gluttony is not. I think we kind of like sometimes like get like confused by some sins in the world, especially when we don't always see the issue right away. You're like, oh, what? You're just eating a bunch of food. And it's like, yeah, but one, it's destroying your body to eat that much food. Two, you're preventing other people from having access to that food. So you're hoarding it for yourself to like you're stocking it all up for that night. And also like it's really not good for you. Thirdly, here's the third thing. When you're fasting, okay, let's see what the fast is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a form of worship. In the Christian and Judeo-Christian frame of mind is when you're supposed to be giving up something that is like a necessity of life and is often tied to prayer. So either you're praying for something that for yourself or sometimes for other people. And it's supposed to draw your attention constantly to God, and you're realizing that He's the provider of all things, and your need for Him and the other people's need for Him, that you're depending on Him for X, Y, Z, to fulfill these things. It's tied to that. There's more in depth than that, but that's just kind of like an introduction to what it is. But when you're doing it first to a false god, who I'm just more and more convinced that it's not even just like a fake god, like a fake deity or a fake being. I'm more and more convinced like it's like a legitimate being who is demonic of sorts, considering if Muhammad, because I know there's a debate if he exists or not, if he did, and considering his wonderful cave interaction with the oh so stupid Allah sending an angel who apparently didn't realize that he couldn't read. I had to strangle him to read because apparently this god's not all knowing in the slightest. It seems to me that there's something definitely real there. But anyways, the point being, like, you're worshiping to something who cannot provide for you those things, cannot really provide for you those things. So there's that false worship, and then it weakens you spiritually for something that much more wicked and evil to convince you that this what you're doing is a good thing. Cough, cough. Literally, almost everything Muhammad did. He literally thought he was being possessed, like attacked by a demon, and then he's like, "Nah, must be Allah." Totally makes sense. It's like, God knows that you can't read, so him choking you, saying, "Read this now," or sending an angel saying, "Yo, read this now." You can't. You're stupid. It's like, yeah, we already knew that. We already knew you couldn't read before. I don't know if you have more you want to add on to my rambling there, but
No, I think that pretty much about covered it. I'm still just pulling up a few resources.
gotcha. While he's doing that, if you like my sweatshirt, go in the description below. You can get one yourself. It's actually really comfortable. We had a couple of friends. They didn't buy this one, but they bought one of our crew necks, and they really like it. I'm looking to maybe make a couple more things, at least for myself, for repping. So if you guys have ideas of what we should make, let me know below, and I'll put it on the list. As I said, we have special projects coming up. Like I said, 2 of them. One is coming out this weekend. One, I think, the next weekend. The other one I just made today. I will definitely release it before the end of February. I don't know when. I've actually grown to like this project a lot. So.
See?
Huh? My project. My.
Uh-huh.
Your
project would not exist without mine.
I know.
I'm just saying.
I just improved on it.
I don't know about improved, my guy.
You don't know what you don't know.
Oh.
I gotta figure out how I'm officially releasing it too. Ooh. While we're on this, Caleb's pulling stuff up. Let me know below. We haven't heard anything yet. If we're figuring out what our Tuesdays are gonna be for the rest of the month, one potential idea is for the next 2 Tuesdays. Yeah. One of which I'll be here for, one of which I cannot be here for. We were looking at doing maybe debate reviews on the some of the other recent Christian versus Muslim debates. God Logic did one with Jake. David Wood did his with Jake, and IP did his with Libiano. So if you want us to do those on Tuesdays, let us know below, and which ones you would like to see. If you're not interested in that, let us know what you would like to see us do on Tuesdays instead. Otherwise, Caleb and I will literally just make it up as we go. Maybe we'll randomly call someone to actually do our first interview with someone who doesn't know that we exist. But it'll be fun. I have no idea who I would contact, though. I don't know how to contact anyone. I have to find their emails. But let us know below those things. Um, let's see. This is for Caleb. Nothing came up. Okay. Dang. I for sure thought something was gonna happen there.
Sorry, no, I'm still pulling stuff up, my guy.
How much stuff do you have to pull up?
Not that much, but I have to find the thing that I wanted.
Well, I think I should show our potential intro then.
No.
Dang it. It's just for the month. Only got 2 more Thursdays left to use it for.
I mean, it can cover both Tuesday and Thursday, and it's not just it is not just February. It goes throughout Ramadan.
Right, but we're switching religions in March, I thought. Not conversion-wise.
Hey, Josh, you got something to tell me, buddy?
Oh, so you're thinking about going all the way through the entirety of Ramadan. February through March.
Yes, ma'am.
See, I thought it was going to be February, Islam, March, Project Number Dose. That works. Gives me more time to research on our Project Number Dose. So, anyways, tuning in just now, I'll catch us up. Ramadan, most of us are associated with some kind of understanding of fasting. And what I remember hearing about in one of my classes way back when in high school was that it was a time of deep prayer at night. And hence that's why they're tired. And then lo and behold, when I learned some more stuff, I realized it's more of the fact that they're plowing food into their mouths all night long because they can't eat during the daytime.
All night long.
For dumb reasons. And so there's a lot of issues here. First off, gluttony. Everyone knows that to be a sin of some sort, even though in our country we completely just kind of laugh at it and we're just completely okay with it. And it's kind of the same with, actually, it's almost the same with all 7 sins. If we go with that structure, we kind of just laugh it all off. Anyways, so there's that issue. There's also the issue of the increased hangriness or lack of hangriness, as Caleb's going to articulate later, which leads to a lot of bombings and terrorist attacks for why. It's almost like all of the quote unquote protests that have been happening that are, they're not protests, they're straight up riots. That's just by definition what they are. You look confused about what I'm talking about.
I only kind of tuned back in a little bit ago.
Yeah.
So.
I was saying there's as much. I was saying that the
I'm
reason
echoing.
behind. I was saying as far as I know, the reason behind specific terrorist attacks and like why they are as logical as almost as logical, if not worse, and probably they are worse because there's actually people who die. So there are worse versions than what the current quote unquote protests are, which are just by definition riots. They're not protests. They're literally riots by definition. And then there's the fact that you see an uptick in diabetes and heart issues. You got false worship.
We're going to talk about that, yeah.
And you see, what was the other thing? I don't know what the other thing was. It was on my brain and then I left. It left. I didn't leave. I'm still here. It left me. All I have to say, it's a mess. There's a lot of issues. And apparently Caleb has a lot of articles that he's going to share with us.
Just 4.
Still a lot for him.
The frick does that mean for him?
Just go with it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just go with it.
Alrighty. So, let's talk a little bit more about death. Well, technically.
Oh,
Uh,
that's in the field of conversation. Oh my gosh, these books down here. Stay up.
yes. Now that it took me almost a half an hour to get everything pulled up. Ram it down.
Oh,
Josh is going to do something while I screen share.
I said last stream I gave a book recommendation, and I said I'll quickly give a book recommendation today too. So if you can see my screen from the corner, this is a good little book right here, The Christian's Handbook to Logical Fallacies. If you're wanting to understand better logical arguments, this is a pretty good book.
That's a great cover. That is a
It is.
fantastic cover.
Fantastic cover. The chapters are pretty short. They give you a general definition, then they give you a technical definition, then an example, as well as an analysis of the example, implications for conversations, and then strategies to avoid it. So it's like 4 or 5 pages per each one, just to kind of get you introduced. It's by Dr. I think it's Itan Bar. He is a Messianic Jew. He actually is a native Hebrew speaker. So it's pretty short. It's very readable. I'm still going through it, but it's pretty great. So if you're wanting to know more about logical fallacies and how not to make them, but also how to identify them, I highly recommend to go checking this book out. It's pretty good, and it's not expensive at all.
Well, thank you for that tangent.
Look, I said I would do it last stream.
All right, so there's a helpful little article here from Islamic Relief.
Relief from Islam?
Going through.
Escaping?
Yeah, no.
No.
This is a .uk website, because of course it is, because England is now a Muslim country. All about Ramadan, how you can follow the rules, what to do, what not to do, when it is, etc., etc.
I can tell you what not to do. Just don't do
This
it.
is just, yeah, really. So this is just a helpful little article here, kind of going through some things. I want to highlight here. There are certain rules to follow. There are certain rules to follow. Good, go away. There we go. There are certain rules to follow during Ramadan that Muslims must abide by. That's poorly worded. Including
it's UK.
fasting. I know. Including fasting, which is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. So what they're determining as fasting is one of the 5 central pillars of the faith. Keep that in mind. And so then they just kind of say, oh yeah, you know, we explored it below. It does vary each year, the start and end. But it always ends with Eid. Oh my goodness. But it always ends with Eid al-Fitr, which we did a video on. Go check that out. It's called Muslims Did Not See That Coming.
I think I might have changed it just to get more traction.
You're gay.
It was ranked at like a 45 out of 100 for name in terms of findability.
It was a clever pun.
It was, but like it wasn't getting anywhere.
Anyway, so here, what not to do during Ramadan, right? And so it's observed to fulfill the 4th of 5 pillars. So they don't eat food or drink any liquids and abstain from sex from sunrise to sunset. Now, I am a married man. I can probably count on 2 hands the number of times I have had sex with my wife during the middle of the day. Especially if you have children, you really do not have time during the day to go canoodle. So already we kind of get this idea of, okay, well, yeah, duh. We might think, you know what, this is still pretty impressive. They don't eat, they don't drink, they don't bang. This is pretty impressive to be this devoted. And I would be tempted to agree with you if it were just that they had a normal sleep schedule and they went to bed when we went to bed and they got up when we got up. That's not usually. I will grant there are some very rare and hardcore cases that they do keep their same schedule and just wake up earlier, have a really big meal, and then go to bed a little later and have a really big meal and just kind of short themselves on sleep. All right, sure. But a majority of Muslims just do what I did about, holy crap, 3 years ago. Wow, I'm old. I had a job where I did the night shift. I went in at midnight and clocked out at 8.
My
I
last
would
night shift.
sleep during the day. Huh?
I don't know what my last night shift was. I think it was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Um, oh, what is that?
Brother, ew.
That's exactly what I thought too. Oh, it's a piece of my table. Nice.
Dude,
Not
one
really
of
sure
our
what that came from.
one of the youth in our youth group that at our church one time looked at one of our friend who got these shoes that have like the toe slits
I'm listening. Yeah. Oh, I know.
and
Yep. Yep.
and
I know what you're talking about.
the teen looked down and went, brother, ew, brother, ew. He just started calling that meme, which
Yep.
is perfectly in line with this this topic entirely.
Yeah. Nope. It's not. It's not also wrong. Those toast shoes are disgusting.
They are disgusting. I took
They
him
should
down
be
too.
illegal.
Mr. Air Force and I brought him down with his lack of shred and beat him
Yeah.
with my I go to the gym and he goes to the Air Force.
Yeah. Annie Hoozle. So by this logic, right? By the logic of I'm just going to reverse the sleep schedule, right? I'm going to sleep during the day and go to bed at, or no, no, no. Yeah, I'm going to sleep during the day and wake up and do things at night. Yeah, okay, great. I did that for like 6 months. That doesn't make me somehow more devoted to God. It made me more devoted to Godzilla because that's usually what I would sit and watch while
Which one?
I just all of them. They were free on YouTube, so that's where my love for Godzilla came from. Uh, anyways, so yeah, no, it doesn't make you more devoted to just swap what time you do things, and especially not what they do when they do it. Right? Because here you see, they are not allowed to swear, they are not allowed to lie, which okay, Dawa, I guess you're going quiet for a whole month. And they are not allowed to also fight or argue. Again, I guess Dawa's going real quiet for Ramadan.
Well, here's the question. Are they allowed to do that during the nighttime?
Yes, they are, but that's when the rest of the world is asleep.
So they're just
So,
like cussing us out.
yeah,
And
exactly. They're just
we're all
sitting
not
around,
around.
which is pretty much how Dawa goes, anyways.
Oh, it's just shadow boxing at that point.
Yeah. So, and I love here, Ramadan is a month of self reflection. You should try yourself to remove yourself from environments where foul language, arguments, and bad behavior are enabled. Have we seen Western Islam? How much rape and pedophilia and harassment and attacks and
Look.
assaults are
They're
there.
just doing their best to follow their prophet.
Oh, I agree. But you
They're
should
just
remove
that
yourself from
devoted.
environments. Yeah, you should remove yourself from environments where foul language, arguments, and bad behavior are enabled.
So
So
remove
they're just
yourself
going
from
to cease
environments
to
from being
exist
like
for a month.
Momo.
Exactly. Well, that's what I really get a kick out of here, that they're not allowed to fight, but they are allowed to jihad, which we are going to talk about. They're allowed to do that fighting. That's no problem. Alrighty.
Well, like the the like to the point of like looking at modern like Dawa, for instance, which it isn't even just like their apologetics. It's like straight up like their word for evangel. Like the one thing they probably get right is that they don't like modern Christians separate apologetics and evangelism, where like there's one supposed to be a tool for the other. They do keep that sort of together. It's just they've been sucking at it lately. Um, they just I had a bad joke on my head. I gotta stop right now. But
Stop. I know where you were going.
but literally when your example is Muhammad and then you're told to go do this. First off, this article is trying to make Islam look like this all very peaceful, goody two shoes thing
Yeah.
until you read
They
what their prophet does and then they follow suit by it. Like I'll give them credit. They're devoted to being like their prophet. Maybe not al Zut level, but they're at least devoted.
Yeah, no, and I love the open bias here, right? Which, I mean, fair enough, right? You're writing about an Islamic holiday, you may as well have an Islamic writer. Okay, fair, but you have, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It's like, all right, well, come on now, guys. We're not exactly trying to be unbiased here, are we?
No.
But
Nowadays they
I want to
just
show
do
you.
PBUH in chats.
Yeah, I know they're lazy. Papa,
Buh-buh.
police be upon him. Um, so I mean, you've heard Christian Prince say that before, I'm sure.
I think I've only ever heard you say that.
Really? Oh, okay. That's where it comes from. That and Allahu snack bar.
I've not heard that one. I mean, like, look, here's the only people in our circles growing up that ever talked about Islam was you and me. No one else talks
That's
about them.
fair.
And so, and then the only people I've been following that online that kind of talk about it would be IP, and that's more of a recent thing. D Wood, which has been a forever thing, um, and Avery. Sometimes Fearless Truth,
Yeah.
just for kicks.
Yeah. But anyway, so I picked this article specifically to show you that even if we slant it in the Muslims' favor, it still doesn't look great for them. Because it says, according to the Sunnah, while fasting, Muslims must refrain from eating, drinking from dawn to dusk, and sexual activity, as these actions invalidate the fast. Right here, this phrase is everything. From dawn to dusk. That means as soon as that sun sets, you are free to do whatever you want. And the Muslims take that very, very seriously. They take that no rules very, very seriously.
Which is
See,
terrifying to think about.
it is.
You're free
So
from rules.
now here the article kind of tries to run cover for them, but we're going to look at some medical data and see why it just doesn't work for them to do that or for them this to be accurate. But let's keep reading it. So we got during Ramadan, Muslims can only eat food and drink liquids after they have broken their fast at Maghrib, which is sunset, until sunrise, the time between iftar and suhoor meals. That means Muslims can't eat or drink anything during the daylight hours. There are two opportunities. This is the lie. There are two opportunities to eat during Ramadan: in the early morning before sunrise, suhoor, and after the sunset in the evening, iftar. Now, this is kind of a half truth, right? Between these opportunities is when you can eat. That is true. But they phrase it in a way that suggests that you can only eat at those times. That is not accurate. That is not accurate. The rest is kind of irrelevant for the rest of the article. It kind of goes over exemptions, which young children, the elderly who are medically unable to fast, sick people, pregnant, mothers. Shout out to uh, Bronte Remzik, wherever she is. Those who are nursing, those who are menstruating, and people traveling long distances. This is really funny to me. Like if you're on a road trip during Ramadan, you can just cram those Cheetos right down your gullet. Doesn't matter what time of day it is.
You can bane it out all you want.
Yep. Never not gonna be funny to me.
People who are, man, I swear. Like,
Yeah.
what? Why during then? Like, why can't they pause during the night? Oh, okay. I guess
Yeah,
we can see the
exactly.
logic behind it. Oh, no,
A
they can
little
sleep during the
bit.
day.
Yeah, exactly. They can sleep during the day and travel at night. I was just gonna say that. Never not funny.
Why?
And then
You literally have the opportunity to. I mean, I guess it's because you're on, trying to make it look all pretty, but you're literally, as you just said, like they're obviously like keeping some things in the dark about what goes on in Ramadan. And there's
yeah.
that vague language, but also like, yeah, it's this. And it's like, right. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So then it's just, if you miss a fast during Ramadan, you can pay with the fidya, um, which is just you make a donation. Which, honestly, not the worst system. But anyways, really the focus was here. There, you can only eat twice a day. If that's the case, you would not see this data. So, as I mentioned, this is the Association uh, for Cardio, Cardiovascular and Cardiological Health. And this is an analysis of Ramadan's effect on cardiovascular health. We do not have time to go through all of the stuff for Ramadan health. I would recommend you look into it for yourself because it's pretty sketchy. Um,
We can later, probably like either tomorrow, we'll post all the stuff in the description if you guys want.
like all the article, bro. I do not have time to sit there and pluck each of the medical articles. You can if you want,
Copy and
or is it
paste.
just the ones that I'm pulling up here?
Yeah, just copy and paste the link.
Oh, okay.
Then they can click the link and go see it. The magic of the internet.
Okay,
Well, let's see here. Ramadan brings about significant lifestyle changes, including alterations in meal timing, food quality and type. Fasting during Ramadan involves complete abstinence from food, drinking, tobacco, sexual activity, and all oral and injectable medications. That's suspicious.
Yeah,
Um,
we're getting there, my friend. We're getting there.
from dawn until sunset throughout the month. This mandatory change in lifestyle can impact patients with various conditions, particularly those with chronic diseases who may be destabilized by dehydration and other factors associated with fasting. Impact of Ramadan on cardiovascular disease, especially heart failure and coronary artery disease, remains understudied and contentious. Therefore, the objectives of our study was to determine whether these lifestyles and dietary changes influence the incidence of cardiovascular events and to analyze any alterations in the cardiovascular risk profile among healthy individuals and patients with stable heart conditions.
So, so they go ahead and cover a 3 month period, right? So you get before Ramadan, the month before, Ramadan itself, and the month after. And we're gonna actually look at a very, very helpful graph right here. Right. So here you get n, right? The variable n, which is normal, uh, and you get the different things that Muslims during Ramadan were hospitalized for. Now, keep in mind, you are not allowed to take medication during Ramadan, at least during the day, right? Which is, as Josh said, a little sketchy. Let's look at the graph here. So you get a standard bell curve here, which you shouldn't get when one of the variables changes. Right. So what that means, essentially what I'm saying is, right, like given that it's the changing variable is the months, right? You would expect if Ramadan has no impact on no adverse health impact, I should say, on Muslims, you would expect, right, this variable here to remain consistent, right? So you have n equals 56. You'd say, okay, maybe it goes up a little bit, right? N equals 60, just for whatever reason. The change kind of throws people off, but there's not that bad. And then it would go back down to n equals, I don't know, 58 or whatever, right? You'd get a very, very small little curve, right? If any at all. Josh, can you see what the change is there? Right at the top of the
During?
graph,
Let's see.
right up here.
So we have before 56, during shoots up to 89, so we're jumping 33. And
And
then we go down, let's see,
23
20,
points.
yeah, 20. So we're
23
still
points
above
down
by
to
10.
66.
Yeah. Still above by 10.
We are. We are.
That's a big jump. 33 is a huge jump.
It's a massive jump, right? Which is really funny to me because they will say, no statistically significant differences were observed in the incidence of the selected diagnosis treating during Ramadan compared to non-Ramadan months, particularly for acute coronary syndrome and heart failure exacerbations, which were the two most common reasons for admission. Really? You see no significant increase. My dude, your graph would look like this. And you see nothing wrong with that. Right now, so why do they say that, right? Why do they say, well, there's really no distinction because what they're looking at is more so the what's the word I'm looking for? They're looking more for like diagnosed, treatable, treated / deceased uh, conditions, right? Okay, fair enough, right? You might not see an increase in those, right? Because like, let's see, right here, right? Diagnoses. This is what they're looking at. They're looking at diagnoses. You see ACS and ICA, right? Which is what they talk about right here. Acute coronary syndrome and heart failure exacerbations. That's what they're looking at, right? Acute coronary syndrome. They're looking at it and saying there is a little bit of an increase there, right? 24 to 30, or to 32 rather, and then back down to 30. That's not that significant, right? An 8-point swing, noticeable, yes. Worrisome, no.
No, that's not too bad.
Right. So when they're looking at it, that's what they're looking at and saying, okay, well, it's not that bad. My brother in Christ, observe. Right. So let's break down how they arrived at this point where it's this 80, it's this 33-point swing, right? It goes up to 89 uh, by whatever metric. They actually don't, I think, say in the opening part. Maybe they did here. Uh, Cross-sectional study was conducted in the cardiology department of that hospital in Morocco. The study covered a 3-month period. Total of 211 patients were hospitalized during this period were included in the study. Data collection was performed using a standardized form, which recorded sociodemographic characteristics, medical. Okay, so then this would be before. So this is out of the 211, right? Before, you had 56 visits to the hospital. During, 89 visits to the hospital. After, 66 visits to the hospital. Right? That's how many of these people, individuals, that's how many came. 33 more people came to the hospital during Ramadan. That is significant. That is extremely significant.
Especially because that's only 211 people. Now you multiply that by however many Muslims there are in the world, and that
Right.
shoots up
So
a
I'm
lot
actually
more.
gonna hang on. Let's find out, shall we?
Find out what.
Oh, I'm just doing a little bit of math, my friend. Okay, so that is 89 of 211 is 42%
Brother.
of participants versus 56 is 26%.
It's no bueno. It's almost 50% during. What was it? 46 you said?
Right, yeah, that 42.
42?
42. But it is a 16 percentage point increase in hospitalizations. So let's look at some of the numbers. Let's look at why. Right. So why does this happen? Is it the change in shift? Are they starving themselves? Right. Are they that worried about that? Leading the case is hypertension. Okay. Hypertension can be a risk factor allocated to any cause. Right? Basically, anything medically wrong with you might carry with it hypertension. Obviously, sans hypotension. That doesn't make any sense. The second one there, diabetes. Well, that's interesting. Now, provided you can go into ketoacidosis shock without food, right? Especially if you are a diabetic. So maybe that's the reason. Dyslipidemia. Josh, do you know what dyslipidemia is?
I don't actually.
This is where it was helpful to have been in the medical field a little bit at one point. Dyslipidemia is abnormally high cholesterol, dangerously high cholesterol.
Hmm. No bueno.
If you are not eating, your cholesterol cannot reach a high level. If you are eating just twice a day, doesn't matter what time of day, unless you are eating like basically straight steak, like full 64-ounce porterhouse steaks every meal twice a day, you are not going to get dyslipidemia in a month. The only way that happens is if you are non-stop eating for long periods of the day. Say, oh, I don't know, maybe sundown to sunrise. Right, and then the rest of the, I do find it funny that, sorry, I should preface this. The dyslipidemia, it's not super common as a reason for hospitalization, but the fact that it's happening at all and just under the diabetes, making it the third most common cause, that's deeply concerning. That's deeply concerning, right? Because you have no visits for dyslipidemia. In the month before, you have 4 during and 1 after. Right. So then you have that's not visits, that's percentage of people who visited. Then we get tobacco use, which actually, funnily enough, is technically higher than dyslipidemia during Ramadan, which is kind of funny because generally, you don't think a ton about tobacco use during Ramadan, but they're drinking, eating, partying, banging all night. Tobacco use is actually quite common. And that's why they. Sorry, I should preface. That's why they have dyslipidemia where it is, because it's directly tied to the diabetes. Right, even though tobacco use is more common, dyslipidemia is directly tied to the diabetes because they're eating so much, they're going into diabetic shock. Their body cannot keep up with the amount of food and sugar that they are consuming. And so the ones that are not diabetic are coming in for dyslipidemia or tobacco use or hypertension. Right. Now, you're going to see on the graph that diabetes does not actually increase, which, granted, is surprising. But again, we got to frame that with context. Right? So you get diabetes coming in at 19, right? So 19% came in for diabetic related issues before Ramadan. 19% came in for diabetic related issues during Ramadan, and 14 came after. So you'd be like, well, hang on, there's no real change there. Coming in because you are experiencing some symptoms of diabetes is not the same for coming in with diabetic shock. Right? So when we pair these factors together and we look at, for example, hypertension, where you get 21, 36, 24, you get dyslipidemia, where it's 0, 4, then 1, even tobacco use, 0, 9, then 4. You start to see this pattern emerge of this cannot be this can't be just because they're starving themselves or just because they are. Oh, you changed to picture in picture. Fancy.
Now I can actually see it.
Oh, could you not really before?
I'm like squinting for some of it.
Oh. Hang on, let me see if I can zoom in a little more. Is that better?
Yes. Now I'm just making sure that I'm not the only one that they see.
Oh, you changed to picture in picture. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I just noticed my phone. So we just hurt ourselves.
Correct. Yes. Yes, we did.
Why aren't you popping up?
But you pair all of these factors together, and if you're looking at this, you are, as a medical professional, I am not. I will admit that outright, but I do have experience in the medical field. I was a CNA. I took several medical courses in college. I do know a little bit what I'm talking about here. When you're looking at all of these direct risk factors, that is extremely concerning. And you notice the trend and you know why. So why am I so confident that the diabetes is, even though it doesn't show a change, is more significant? Josh, look at the death numbers.
See 1%, 6% during, 4% after. You shoot up 5%, you're still
Right.
above 1%.
Right. Hypertension can cause death. Certainly. Tobacco use, very unlikely to. Diabetes and dyslipidemia, very unlikely to. Diabetes is going to be the killer here. Diabetes is absolutely going to be the killer here. And you see, right, number of associated CV risk factors. So we get, how many of these did they have? Right? 0, low percentage. 1, highest percentage. 2, highest percentage. 3, minimal. A lot of them are hovering in this range because they already have diabetes. And then you get the death percentage spiking. Right? And you get the discharge percentage spiking because more people are coming in. So more people are going out. Right? That's where we get that 89 from. 83, 6, 89. So when you look at this paragraph here and they say that there's no statistically significant differences, that's because they're talking about the diagnoses here. Right? They even say that of the selected diagnoses. They do not factor these things in at all. Ramadan is horrible for you medically. Health wise, switching your sleep schedule is terrible for you. Right? Consistent sleep is critical to human function. Then just eating non-stop for 12 hours, which is really the only way to get these kinds of results. Right? The whole key there is that dyslipidemia. Eating non-stop like that is going to wreak havoc on your body. You are not going to be okay. Josh, any thoughts before we move on?
Ah, man, you can argue that that's not a huge percentage jump for death, but that's still
I
what
would
concerns me.
I would have to disagree. Yeah.
I'm
I would
saying that
have to disagree.
someone can argue that it was only 5%, but still 5%. If you're seeing death at all increasing, I mean, you're seeing these other health issues increasing, but you're seeing death increase during Ramadan, even if it's not necessarily directed necessarily to the food, of which we know there's other things going on there. That is still a lot more that should be happening. Because
Right.
let's consider like, okay, this is probably like focusing on what the food issue primarily.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's factor in the tobacco increase. Let's factor in any sexual activity that could be becoming more abusive due to whatever is going on, because that
True.
can happen. Uh, you have the
Right.
fact
This
that
was
rules are
purely
gone. Rules are
a study of cardiovascular impact.
right. So now let's also include some of these other factors. What else is happening that could be increasing in hospitalization or death because sexual activity, if it's not used correctly, can and will destroy. You also have, let's see, if you include the fact that the rules are gone and it specifies that you can't do fighting beforehand, but if people are exhausted, especially when they have been just changing their schedule and they're hungry and they're extremely horny, like a variety of other things that could be happening. What else is increasing the anger rate
All
that
right, I
is
wasn't
leading to
ready
more
for
sexual
that.
issues?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
When you
Right.
are we are not left in check, a lot of stuff happens, and it happens for the weirdest reasons too. Like you would think, oh, that's not going to cause anything. You're like, no, actually, is a cause for something. But that's just the cardiovascular issues, which
Right.
that in my mind, there shouldn't be a holiday that you're celebrating that is increasing death by following the rules, or a holiday month,
That's
if
a
you will.
great way to put it. That is a great way to put it.
That, to me, that concerns me. Like, I use a simple one. Chris, it's quite the Jewish feast that they would follow. If you follow the rules, because those clean animals and you need to follow very certain procedures to do everything, you are likely to be okay, unless, for instance, someone didn't cook it right, or
In
someone
which case, wouldn't be following the rules, right?
right, or if someone was like allergic to something or like has some kind of medical issue. Okay,
Right.
but like these are people that are already following the rules, and you're seeing an uptick in death, uptick in just all these issues, uptick in cholesterol, like all these things that shouldn't be happening based on the way they promote it. But the fact that they're following the rules and there's more death going up, that concerns me
Yeah.
a lot. Especially when you consider, look, Kanye Mims can say all he wants about how great Islam is for women. They don't treat women the greatest. They might in the West because they have to save face, or maybe because they don't really follow Islam to the letter in the West for some people. You know, I can't remember which interview it was, but there was an interview where it was like a panel, I guess, and there was a Muslim woman on there, and she was trying to defend about how peaceful and great Islam was until someone showed her a passage from the Quran saying, "No, this is what we're talking about." She's like, it's not in the Quran. Shows her the Quran. She's like, and that sent her like spiraling, not like in a like she became violent or anything, but like her faith, like she was just like very lost and confused after seeing that, because there's a lot of people who just don't know what the Quran or Hadith teach. It's kind of like, I want to be careful with this comparison. I really do want to be careful with this comparison. But it's kind of like how there was a time when members of the church who didn't know Latin were just quoting the Latin, but they don't actually understand what the Latin teaches.
I didn't know where that was going.
The reason I'm being careful with that is that at least that teaching was still, like, even if they didn't know it, we, based on what the translation we have, we can find that it's still good teaching and moral teachings. Islam, they're just quoting the Arabic, and they have no idea what it means. So they could be quoting, for instance, "Go kill all infidels," and have no idea that they're quoting to "go kill all infidels."
Yep.
That's why I say I want to be very, very careful with that distinction. And I only bring it up because that wasn't it that the church did, because it were so tied to Latin, even though it wasn't like the natural language for a lot of the people who were outside of, Italy and any Latin speaking area. That's why I was trying to be careful with that comparison. But
yeah,
they have no idea what that actually teaches. But it doesn't really have a good view of women. It doesn't have a great view of people who aren't Muslims. Like,
yes,
Christianity,
we are the worst of creatures.
Yeah, Christianity teaches that all human beings are in the image of God, and therefore all human beings should be evangelized to. Because all of them, Christ came and died for the world. Now, the act is only effective on those who believe, but it's still an act that the world could receive. Islam doesn't care. We're the worst of creatures. They would rather actually. You even see how they've been doxing Christians. You have these upticks in doxwa. You have upticks in violent attacks and threats. Even then, when they can't be violent, they're verbally violent and image-wise violent. Like, I'm still going to keep pointing to Junior's post, and then he went running from his debate with Avery, which is hilarious. Oh, it was just my plane is having issues. No, it's way too close for it to be having issues right now. Like Libiano in his debate with IP spent 90% of his time insulting IP than actually addressing the argument. Those who actually follow the Quran, or even just the grifters who are like more committed than like the King and Mim grifters, know that Islam is not truly this peaceful thing, is not truly this healthy thing at all. Sorry, that might have been a bit of a ramble there, but
Yeah, no. And it kind of segues perfectly into it it
Are you good?
into
Uh,
this bad
which one's
boy.
this one? Oh, is this academia? Academia.
This is just academic.
Oh, that's what it is. Academic. This one's academia, I think, which annoys me. There's two names.
Academia is a paper or a place where people can put papers out.
Right.
I have I have familiarity with it. I use it for some research purposes.
I do sometimes.
Yeah,
Not
no,
in
this is
recent, but
yes, this is the Oxford Academic Journal of Peace Research. So, come on, man. So this is from Oxford University, right? And so it is an examination of the following question: do intense religious experiences increase or decrease terrorism? They say we argue that fasting during the month of Ramadan offers an ideal setting for studying the question empirically. Reasons are twofold. First, daily fasting from dawn to sunset during Ramadan is considered mandatory for most Muslims. Secondly, the Islamic Hijri calendar is not synchronized with the solar cycle. I mean, obviously, it's a lunar calendar. Therefore, the daily fasting duration during Ramadan is exogenous to one we create for latitude and the seasonality of Ramadan, which we can do by district, country, year, district and country year fixed effects. That's the part I want to talk about. They even admit it here, focusing on predominantly Muslim countries. Josh, how many terrorist attacks are conducted within Muslim countries?
how many terrorist attacks
Yes.
within the countries or like from the countries?
No, within the countries. Like a
Within.
terrorist attack happening
I feel like
within Kuwait.
I think I've like maybe not recently in news just because it's not been the focus. But like it seems like there's always something happening. Like at least like one a week is what it feels like sometimes. At least based on the news reports I've seen. But then again, they've been focusing a lot more on other stuff lately because I think they're getting tired of talking about it. But I remember like when the whole Israel and whatchamacallit was going strong. Like it was like every day there was something.
You're saying Gaza?
Yes.
Israel Gaza war? Yeah. Here's the thing though. Those aren't counted as terror attacks.
I know.
That's the point I'm
Well-
getting at. That's the point I'm getting at here. So oh yeah, there it is. Huh?
That was disgusting.
Did you just hear me drinking right now?
I heard all of that. I heard
No, that's exactly the point I'm going to get at. Is what are they calling a terrorist attack?
I'm gonna guess not a terrorist attack.
For example, Hamas killing Gazan civilians not considered a terrorist attack. Even though, by definition, it is terrorism. It is a violent attack or intimidation against a civilian population for political means. That is definitionally terrorism. Like, but that is not counted here. They do not count that in this article.
Get
So what do they count, right? Let's go through the article here a little bit. Terrorist groups have long been using religion as a justification for their actions and as a vehicle to gain public support. Terrorism has been further on the rise since the September 11th terrorist attacks and the subsequent U.S.-led military interventions in Afghanistan and Iraq, right? So We're off to a good start here. We're blaming the United States for this.
Oh,
Going strong.
great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because everything's
Yeah,
our fault.
exactly. This increase has mainly been driven by terrorist groups with Islamist ideologies, with most victims being civilians in predominantly Muslim countries, as discussed in the data section. Right, so they are counting attacks against Muslim civilians by Muslim terror groups as terrorist attacks. Curiously, again, Hamas mowing down Gazans is not counted. I don't know if necessarily they counted it here, but it's not counted in the broader media as a terror effort. It is, definitionally. But what they leave out is what's happening in Iran right now, right, where the government is suppressing the
That's
people
clearly our.
violently. Again, what is that? It is a violent attack or intimidation against civilian targets for a political goal. That's terrorism by definition. That is the literal definition of terrorism. But that will not get counted here. Right? It has to be a group like ISIS attacking civilian targets. Or civilians are killed in an ISIS attack on America, for example, right? On American forces. They will count that. They will not count the government effort. Essentially, they will not count state-sponsored terrorism.
Because then they're going to get upset with the government. And the government's like, oh, war. Like, no, we don't want that, sir. Never mind the fact we have more nuclear power, sir.
Mm-hmm.
We'll blow you out of the water, sir.
I don't know what in the
Fucking
Oliver
sir.
Twist this is, but
Well, it's just kind of like, oh, there was a meme a while ago. It was when Trump sent the missiles, and it was like, oh, it was a meme of I can't remember which country it was, but they were attacking. It was like from the Super Mario movie. It was them trying to throw the snowballs, and then it put the U.S. over Bowser, who just went and just destroyed them in one move. I was like, that is brilliant.
I have loved the memes. I gotta say what you will about Trump, I have loved the memes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this table here is all of these Muslim countries and how many or what percentage of people state that they fast in the Muslim countries during Ramadan, and how many respondents. Oh, we really got to figure out a way to get rid of the bots, man.
Nah, man. Let them come in. Let them cook.
I'd really rather just get rid of them.
No. We got first legitimacy.
So in Kuwait, you got 99, Jordan 95, Egypt 94, Palestine, which is not a country, but that's neither here nor there, 93, Tunisia 93, Indonesia 90, Senegal 85, Turkey 81, Pakistan 78, and Mali 71. So it's an average of 86% of Muslims fast most or all days during Ramadan. So they're going to make an argument here that since these countries see very few terrorist attacks during Ramadan. Ramadan lessens terror attacks. Now, all right,
Sorry.
calm
Was
down.
that
Hang on
horrible?
now. Yes. Okay, so Josh, look at this list with me for a
I
second.
got you. I got you. I got you.
Frick off, Grammarly.
No, no. I want to see the Grammarly. I want that
Okay,
citation.
that's
Okay.
weird, but okay.
All right. What am I looking at?
We got Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, Palestine, Tunisia, Indonesia, Senegal,
Yep.
Turkey, Pakistan, Mali.
Yep.
Of those,
hmm
how many do you see frequent terror attacks in?
Palestine a lot. Oh, hearing that a bit. Turkey
But again,
historically.
remember that's not counted.
Wait, I'm sorry. Could you ask the question again? Make sure I'm not. So, am I
Sure.
based on
So
the list?
how many of these countries do you see like actual frequent like documented this was a terror attack? Right? Because again, Palestine, Hamas going in and just killing civilians does not count.
Okay. Um, Trying to think through all my news history.
I'll just speed the process up. Not
Not
a one.
no. You
Right,
no,
like
not by
Indonesia
that
has
standard they don't.
somewhat frequent. Right, Indonesia
By
has
that,
somewhat frequent terror attacks, and it's the Muslims attacking non-Muslims generally.
right. I guess because in my head I'm still thinking of like either they're the source of those terrorists or they happen, but if by that standard they're running by for not counting, then no, none of them would then,
Yeah.
which is
So
stupid.
they go on to actually cite something that we're going to talk about a little bit, which is the Global Terrorism Database, right? Which is I can hear myself echoing. There we go. All right, which is sponsored by START, right? Which is studying terrorism effectively.
Interesting.
They curiously do not give the actual numbers from the GTD. Those
Hmm.
are absent.
They don't cite them at
Now,
all.
they do cite one number, right? So from here, for countries with a frick off. For countries with a Muslim population share above 75%, we find that the probability of the occurrence of a terrorist event or deadly terrorist event in a given district and year increase or decreases, excuse me, by around 3 percentage points when the daily fasting duration in Ramadan increases by an hour. We find no robust effect of longer Ramadan fasting on countries with a Muslim population share below 75%. So they do cite that, right? That's the GTD. That's from the GTD, saying that if you, and I'm going to phrase it this way, if you prolong the hours when Muslims are asleep by one, Muslims don't do as many terror attacks. Oh, you don't say. No freaking way, my dude. When they are not awake, they don't blow people up. Oh no.
You're saying they're not sleep bombing?
Correct, they are not sleep bombing.
Oh.
And they even look, say here. So, second, we look at differential effects across types and targets of terrorist attacks in predominantly Muslim countries. Again, how many Muslim countries are are blowing up civilians, right? Are having terrorist groups like ISIS, like Hezbollah, you know, like HTS go in and blow up civilians. That doesn't really happen. Right? You don't get that in as they have it, you know, Kuwait or Jordan or Egypt. Again, they don't count uh, the Gaza data. And they at least they couldn't because it would throw it way off if they were to actually count Hamas as terrorists. Which, I mean, well, they count Hamas as terrorists, but the killing of civilians as terror attacks. Now, provided I will grant them credit, they're just going off of the examples of terrorism that have been reported. Right? So they themselves are not just discounting Hamas's attacks. The UN, the GTD, all of them do that. But we'll get back to, even though I don't think the GTD is a great resource to use, even it can't hide the numbers. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Right? But, Tunisia, Indonesia, Senegal, Turkey, Pakistan, Mali, all of these countries, excuse me, all of these countries are not like massive terror hotbeds where buildings are constantly exploding and people's heads are constantly being cut off. Right? It's not Syria. Right? I'm not going to pull it up now, but let's go look at, the Syrian terror numbers. Do you think those might be slightly higher than Tunisia?
No.
So
Can't be.
they come. I was gonna say they come here, and where was it? Here we are. So we come back here in predominantly Muslim countries, right? Because those aren't the targets. That's not what jihad is about. Now there is some of that. Right? There was a recent attack. I can't recall where. There was a recent attack of Muslim on Muslim violence. That does happen. But that's not where an outsized majority of terror attacks are directed. Most terror attacks are directed at non-Muslims. So with that in mind, we're going to leave behind the article that says, at its conclusion, hang on. Where is it? Come here. Well, actually, hang on. Let's look at this graph. I forgot about this. So, ready to give away the game here, people? Let's look at the numbers. We're going to look terror attacks in Muslim countries versus non-Muslim countries. This is per capita, I believe. I'm not totally sure, actually. It does not specify, and I'm not reading the whole article again to find out. Irregardless, so they sampled the data, and what do we find? During Ramadan daylight hours, the means of attacks are relatively, or no, this is means of Ramadan daylight hours, relatively the same. Standard deviation is within margin of error. All right, fair enough. All events, 1.77 compared to 4.75 in the Muslim countries. Wow, clearly this must be, huge, right? It's clearly all of these attacks are coming from against the Muslim countries. But hold up a second. Remember what countries we were talking about above. Now we come down, and suddenly we've got different countries here. We've got Uzbekistan. Right? We've got Algeria mentioned. Right? Countries where there is great instability and a much larger terror presence. Right? So they are skewing the data here. They are picking countries where like an Afghanistan, like a Syria, to represent, oh, see how bad all of these countries are without Ramadan? Right? Like, see how bad all these countries are when Ramadan is the same? Which I'm going to point out, all of these increases are still happening during Ramadan. I'm just going to point that out. Like, all of these much larger numbers are happening in Muslim countries during Ramadan. Hence the Ramadan Bombathon. But that's neither here nor there, really. Right? Like, again, we have a mention here of, like, let's see. Ramadan daylight hours are exogenous after controlling for latitude and seasonality of Ramadan. We can account for these two factors with district and Ramadan year fixed events. The district fixed events capture factors that are. Josh, I'm going to actually ask you to mute, buddy. There's a lot of background noise coming through right now.
There's nothing happening over here. Okay.
Is it me? Yeah. No, I don't know. But for some reason, whatever was happening there, I was getting a lot of background noise.
There's literally nothing happening over here.
And now it was gone after you unmuted just now. So I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's my own earbuds screwing with me. Who knows? Here's the proof. Anyways, sorry, I slipped into Mojab mode there. So we get Ramadan daylight hours are exogenous after controlling for yada 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 yada. We can account for these two factors with district and Ramadan year fixed events. The district fixed events capture factors that are time consistent with districts, such as geography, culture, and historical heritage. The Ramadan year fixed event effects capture the Gregorian month during which Ramadan takes place in a given Ramadan year, as well as yearly varying factors that affect all countries equally. Possible candidates for factors might be the global business cycle and tectonic shifts in geopolitics, such as the end of the Cold War, September 11th attacks, or the US-led invasions in Afghanistan and Iraq. However, even such global factors are likely to affect different countries differently. Right. So why are you not reporting on the same countries that you were previously talking about? Why now did we suddenly shift to new countries which are less politically stable? They then come to these oh, holy frick. They then come to these graphs. And these are supposed to indicate that terrorism is roughly the same, but then dips significantly in during Ramadan, right? So if you increase the amount of time in Ramadan, then that will magically solve all problems. The problem being, this is, where is it? Come here. Come on. Where is it? Here we go. This is purely theoretical. Long history of terror groups with a religious background and the recent surge of terrorist attacks by Islamist perpetrators in predominantly Muslim countries has motivated us. Again, they are not addressing the non-Muslim terror attacks that happen. They are saying this is purely a theoretical solution for the Muslim countries, right? Like, as I mentioned, Kuwait, like Tunisia, like England, those places. Nothing? Really? Dang, tough crowd. Has motivated us to study the effect of religion and intense religious experiences on terrorism. We have developed a theoretical argument and 3 hypotheses suggesting that more intensive Ramadan fasting would reduce terrorism by decreasing the public support for terrorism. Their evidence is a majority of Muslims publicly say that they do not support jihad, and therefore, if you increase the religiosity of the public Muslims, Ramadan or terrorism will go down during Ramadan. We have point A, we have point C, there is no point B. And again,
So
notice how they had to change the demographics. They had to change the data there, right? They had to skew in favor of one data set over another in order to get the desired result. And we're going to look at now the GTD, provided that Josh doesn't have any specific thoughts. Fair enough. We're going to now look at the GTD, and really all we need is just one sentence. You can obviously go and read this article, Political Violence at a Glance, is the title. They do try to say that there's no real problem. Right? But they have to admit, utilizing data from the Global Terrorism Database, GTD, we found that the average number of terror incidents during Ramadan was slightly higher, 3%, than non-Ramadan days through the 33-year study period. And they go on to say, however, there is strong statistical evidence that difference in number of terrorist incidents on non-Ramadan days gets larger as the proportion of Muslim populations increase. Oh, you don't say. No freaking way, man. More Muslims equals more terror attacks. Who would have thought? Yeah. And then finally, the article closes. Lacking the proper context, media reports on acts of violence extremism can inadvertently serve to advance the cause of those who seek to declare Ramadan as a month of terror. We don't do that. We just notice, it does happen more. Right? And now you may say, well, 3%, that's a pretty low percentage. Okay, sure. But it's terror attacks, my dude. It's not like it's, 3% more people went to the grocery store during Ramadan, although that's probably a much higher percentage. Right, given on what we looked at in the beginning half of the stream. This 3% increase is people blowing crap up. Right? This 3% increase, even if it's not significant, in my opinion, that is still pretty decent. Right? To have a noticeable
any increase
3%
in terror
increase.
is not good.
Right, exactly. Right. But like I'm saying, 3%, yes, that number is not catastrophic, but that's 3% over a 33-year period. Right? That's a very wide distribution. So in the 80s, when Afghanistan was preoccupied, and the Middle East really, and as a whole, was preoccupied with the Soviet invasion, and Iran was not a stable country, like not a strong, stable country where it was funding terrorism yet, right? And you get a lot of push and pull and give and stuff, that a lot of instability, I guess, in terms of the geopolitics of the Middle East. Has there ever been stability? It's another question. It's a question for another time, rather. You're getting the 33-year period. You're getting a very sizable period where there just wasn't the resources for any terror attacks. Right? Because that study stops in the 2010s. So you go 80s to 2010s. The 80s, there's not much that is happening there. The 90s, okay, Iran's starting to build steam. You're starting to see the emergence of groups like Al Qaeda. Um, 2000s hit and 2010s, and terrorism skyrockets. That's where you're seeing the shift. You are seeing that 3% increase during Ramadan predominantly because of the most recent 2 decades that we've had bleeding into this third one. Now, numbers haven't come out, obviously, because the decade isn't finished. So we just don't know. I would not be surprised if the amount of attacks during Ramadan have increased dramatically, even into the 2020s. That would not be a shocking thing. So,
keep in mind that this is a Muslim holiday, and these terrorist increases are by Muslims. So it's not a
right,
correlation fallacy that someone can say, "Oh, you're doing a correlation." It's like you can say incentive like Christmas. We're like, no. We're seeing Muslims increasing in this. Now, of course, sure, not all Muslims. We're still seeing in the Islamic population that increase during their holiday, where it's supposed to be a holiday of, I guess, all a month of peace and fasting, no violence or anything like that. So the only
right,
time
no
they're
fighting.
allowed to do that is during the time that everyone's asleep, which is
Right.
that's terrifying.
And that's honestly something that I think I should highlight more. They can't do it for 12 hours of the day. And yet there is still an increase. Like, for half of the day, when they would normally be doing terror attacks, they cannot. And yet you still see a 3% increase in terror attacks. That is staggering. Like, imagine you are working your 9 to 5 and your hours get cut in half. Would you expect productivity to increase or decrease?
It should decrease.
It should decrease. Their productivity is increasing. And I hate to use productivity in that way, but it is what they are producing. Right? Their terror attacks increased despite less time to do it. Now, I do again appreciate the idea put forward in the third article that we looked at, that if you extend the amount of time that they are not allowed to do terror attacks, it will lessen the terror attacks. You don't say. But
At the same time,
the fact that we see any increase just goes to show you that being more devout in the religion does not solve the problem. Because these jihadis are devoutly observant. Right? They are very much observant Muslims in that regard. And yet their activities increase. That is a huge problem. Ramadan is not a good month. It is a terrible month. It is bad for the Muslims. It is bad for the non-Muslims. Do not be lulled into this false sense of security that, oh, well, they're sleeping during the day, everything is fine, they're just observing their religion, they're just fasting, wow, look at their dedication. None of it. None of it is true. None of it is the case. Be on the lookout. Keep your head on a swivel. Really, genuinely do. Because you just never know. And do not fall for the lies. Know the information, right? Go check out the resources that we looked at. Again, all 4 of those are pro-Islamic resources. Or at the very least, neutral. None of them have a slant against Islam. I made a specific point to not find any that did. Go check them out and do the research for yourself. you will come away with the same opinion that we have of Ramadan of this is bad, it needs to stop. And the way that it stops is we go out and make disciples of all nations. Any thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I know at least on this channel, we're still growing and following, um, regarding there's like our streams and stuff. But for those who may have been just kind of seeing the stuff we put out, sometimes it's just clips of or parts of us like debunking specific arguments. Um, the thing that we are focusing on doing is trying to make sure that we point out the falsehoods of this framework, this worldview, this religion, this quote unquote God, and his teachings. However, it is very easy. I just kind of want to point this out because we've been touching a lot on the severe issues. It's very easy then to go further and cease to be loving towards those Muslims, to be praying for them, and to be recognizing that they too are not too far gone and are in need of the gospel.
Right.
Jonah was sent to Nineveh fully knowing just how vile, awful, violent, perverse, all these words you could throw to him were. And he did not want to go. And God still said, you are going to go because I still love them and I want them to repent and to turn things around. And so I say that because I want to take this next month, as I know we're kind of, some people have been kind of like, I've been seeing the comments across different stuff, acting like we're just kind of piling on Islam. It's less that we're piling on the Muslims and more piling on the Islamic teachings itself. Now, yes, I do believe that there are Muslims who are vile and awful in the things that they do. But I still think that they're not too far gone from Christ. Even these terrorists. So I think that during this month where they're fasting, praying to their false god, that we too should be praying for them to see the truth. As thankfully, thank you, Lord, there has been a dropping in numbers with just the recent events and debates. So just continue to be praying that they just will hopefully see, even though like who knows who will see the stream. But if someone can see the stream and see the correlation to some of the issues here, then maybe that will cause some questions. I guess that's not really much to contribute, but it's just
No, I mean
something.
that's everything to contribute, right? To remind people of why we do this.
Yeah. So like I said, I saw some people like saying, "Dude, you're just piling on." You're just like, "Dude, I'm not piling on you. I literally have not called you out for anything other than when you straight up lied about me." I have been calling out the teachings and what they actually are. I'm actually talking to you like I love you and I genuinely care about what's happening. I hate these teachings. They're vile. They're awful. And it scares me that people are willing to go follow them. Not like scared, like I'm shaking for it. And it's kind of like, I guess that deeply concerned for them
Yeah.
and what that could entail and for other people. Because I don't live in an area where that's really, at least now, really a problem. But there are people who are in areas where that is a deep problem. But that's also because we live in more in the super far west, where if a Muslim did come up and try something within their own religion of that sort, they would get pretty much arrested fairly quickly and put on the death electric chair.
We don't. There's a conversation to be had in terms of the Christian death penalty, but
Yeah,
sadly,
I'm not saying that. I'm not.
America does not partake anymore.
Yeah, my point is just that that is
Broadly.
something that they would do, or would have done before,
Yeah.
or sometimes depending on what it is they
Yeah.
might do. Like the whole question of what's going to happen. Actually, I don't remember if they ever came to a conclusion on Tyler Robertson, if he was actually getting the death penalty or not.
I believe they were pushing for it.
I know that was a question that was being thrown around.
The governor came out and said they are going to prosecute with the intent of the death penalty. Now, whether he
That's
will
messed
get
up.
it in terms of sentencing remains up in the air. But
Yeah. Yeah. So Ramadan, we make jokes just to keep it lighthearted, but
yeah,
it is still some serious stuff.
oh yeah, no, it's killing people in many ways, right? It's killing Muslims, it's killing non-Muslims, it's killing people who partake in it. It's awful. Right? And so again, I want to stress the way that we combat this is we go out and preach the gospel.
Amen to that. All right. Let's see. I don't see anything in the chat other than our bot. Let me check Twitch real quick. Nothing on Twitch right now. All right. Well, been 2 hours ish. Nothing popping off in the chat. That's fine. So I guess with all that said, we'll cap it here for the night. Lord willing, we'll return on Tuesday. Yes.
Make sure you go ahead and feast on that subscribe button down
I was
there.
gonna set you up for that.
And
I wasn't skipping it.
oh, I didn't know. You sounded like you were closing out, man.
I'm closing, but I usually close and then you jump in and interject. And I was prepping
Well, I'm
you,
doing
bro.
it now.
I see that.
So, and let us know what your favorite food is down in the comments section below. With all that said, Lord willing, we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.